Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper, and today we have an educator in our midst. It's back to school time. Those school buses are out there. The kids are getting up early, and they're so happy to be going back to school, and they should be because they've got a great education system here. And one of the people who makes it happen is Dr. Cathy Townsend. Welcome, Cathy.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So how's it looking for this year?
It is looking great. Our facilities department has been working hard getting all of our facilities clean and in order, and Bennett Middle School, as you know, I'm sure you'll want to talk about, is opening up, so we are ready to rock and roll. Our kids come back on Monday, some of our kids on Monday, and then the full complement of students on Tuesday.
Okay. You're the assistant superintendent.
Yes.
So that means that your boss gets to do all the high and mighty stuff, and you have to do all the real work.
We all try to work.
So is that fun? Is it fun being part of the administration? You were a teacher for a long time. Now you're one of the bosses. What's that like?
I really do enjoy it. And the interesting thing is I'm assistant superintendent for administrative services. So most of my career I was in the instruction side.
Right.
You know, being a teacher, being an assistant principal, being a principal, then moving into safe schools and school climate, and then went to the other side, the business side of the house, and have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. So there's 6 departments.
I've always thought that was what, like, a good boss gives the employees the tools to do their job. And as a teacher, you probably saw what the administration needed to provide for teachers for instruction. And now you're in a role where you get to provide that stuff, the stuff that's not so glamorous, like the copy machines and things like that. But that's what you have to worry about now.
Yes, and the really an advantage of having been in instruction for so many years is I experienced all of those jobs and the things that we need in instruction. And so our goal in the administrative services is to be as behind the scenes as we can and support instruction. You know, if there weren't students and there weren't families, we wouldn't have a job. So we are happy to be there and try to silently support instruction and do what they need, you know, to make our students and families successful. So I love it.
Now, I always loved all of my teachers, except for one group, and that was my math teachers.
Oh, no, I was a math teacher.
And that's my question. You were a math teacher, but I think I would have liked you.
Well, you know, what I found in my career is people either really love math or they really don't like math. And so part of it is just making it applicable to their lives. And I think when you do that, then kids come around and they begin to like it.
Now, I don't get this. How does anyone aspire to be a math teacher? Why did you want to be a math teacher?
Well, you know, I think as we grow up, we have different, we have a bend toward more reading and that sort of thing, narrative kinds of things, and toward data. And I've always been a data analyst. You know, I think that when we make decisions, even in the position I'm in now, you know, you need data, and our decisions need to be data driven. And so that's always been an interest of mine. And so from early on, I just always liked math. I liked how it applied to our everyday lives, because, you know, if you look at life is math.
It is.
You know, and I know reading is important.
If you think like a math problem, that's the way to think. Yeah.
So, you know, our word problems are life situations.
Right.
So
you taught math for a while, and
then
you taught at the different levels in the school of math?
I did. Actually, I taught in high school to begin with.
Okay.
And then I went to 5th grade. I taught in the magnet program for several years.
Right.
And then,
that was at North Salisbury.
And that was at North Salisbury.
Right.
And so I loved doing that. So I've taught all different levels, you know, and even did some adjunct things with adult learners, and I enjoyed that as well. So then went on to be assistant principal at Pittsfield.
Right.
And then went to Salisbury Middle as assistant principal for 1 year and principal for 6, and loved that school. Had the great opportunity to open that school. And
that school had just been rebuilt completely, and it was a whole different environment there.
Yes, yes. That was in 1999.
Right.
And that was just a great learning experience, and I loved it. I had a wonderful staff at Salisbury Middle, and that was just, I thoroughly enjoyed those years.
Right. And then you went up and you were principal at the Delmar High School.
I was.
Now, Delmar is such a unique community with its education, because the community spirit in that school is just, it's stronger than anything I've ever seen.
Absolutely, it is. I thoroughly, again, enjoyed my years there.
Yeah.
Del Mar is a great community. They support their school, they support their teachers, they support their sports teams. That's a big part of the community. Where do you go to a Friday night football game and 5,000 people come?
Right.
It's just unbelievable the amount of support and the collaboration, the camaraderie within that community.
Right.
It's a wonderful community, and it's a great school.
I had a friend who taught in both school systems in Wicomico up in Del Mar, and he said that the difference is when a parent comes in the Wicomico system, the parent immediately thinks that the teacher has done something wrong, which is causing the kids problems. But up in Del Mar, when the parents come in, their attitude right away is to the kid like, what are you doing to upset these teachers?
Well, I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, but that does happen often.
Yeah.
The parent comes in to be an advocate for their child, and certainly that's expected. But when I was in school, it was typically the question was, well, what did you do? Was it the teacher? And that is most definitely the support of the schools in Del Mar. They are very supportive of, and they expect the children to come and behave and learn.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Bennett Middle is the talk of the town.
Yeah.
There's controversy in getting it built, more than I really thought. I thought to me, it just seemed like such an obvious decision, mm-hmm. and I never understood the controversy. But as I've written about it more and more as the opening has gotten here, I hear from different points of view about whether that should have been built and whether it was built correctly and all that stuff. And we'll stay out of that, but it's a state-of-the-art school that the community really needs.
Absolutely, we do need it. And I was not in this position when all of it was being decided. I think there were two sites, and there was, they were trying to decide where it should be. It's turned out to be a wonderful school. It is state of the art. In fact, we are very, very proud. Mr. Foray, our facilities director, and his team, between the design and engineering and construction of the school, have achieved LEEDs Gold, which is an energy efficiency and conservation. So that is a stellar accomplishment. So we're very, very proud of that.
And that's one of those things people don't understand, but it's current and it's important for the environment now, and it protects us going forward.
It does.
So you can't just put up a shed anymore and put desks in there. There's a lot more to it now.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I didn't even realize this until moving into this position, just the federal and state requirements of what it takes to build a school. It's not just, as you said, putting up walls and moving the kids in. There's just so many steps and so much pre-planning and all the time that goes into the design and engineering, and then finally, you get to see a building after many, many years. But all the footwork that goes in before it is unbelievable.
It's a beautiful building. It looks kind of like a mini Bennett High School, a little amped up Bennett High School maybe, and it's in a good setting there in Fruitland. But what's unique is that it's not a neighborhood school. Everyone will be bussed in every day, which is part of the pressure on you.
Yes, they will. Everybody will be bussed in. We may have just a very few walkers from the neighboring houses. But most everybody, now, at Bennett Middle, we had almost 200 walkers that went to Bennett. And so now that group of students will have to be transported. So it's been a major organization for our transportation department. As it turned out, we have 150 some routes, and about a third of our routes had to be reorganized somewhat so that we could, as efficiently as possible, transport our kids to Bennett Middle. We also did another thing that helped quite a bit with finances and efficiency, and that was change the start time. Because, with Bennett Middle and Bennett High School being the same start time and on the same property, that was not a problem. You could bring Bennett Middle and Bennett High School students together. Now we had to separate those routes, thus the changes in routes, and then also to try to most efficiently use the routes that we have instead of having to have more contracts or buy more buses. So that has been quite a challenge for Mr. Hughes and his transportation department, but they've done a great job. So, we will be transporting, probably 99% of the students into Bennett Middle.
So the start time at the high school is 7:40.
7:45.
7:45. So what will the start time be at the middle?
8:15. We shifted it by half an hour.
That's awesome. See, now my daughter, who's in the high school, would probably like you to do it the other way around.
That's right. Yeah, there's all these studies about high school kids and how they wake up finally at 9 or 9:30. But they were able, and the big piece, as I said, is just being able to utilize the resources that we have without having to spend more money and buy more resources. So by shifting that time was a significant savings.
Right. How many kids are going to be at the new Bennett?
Almost 1,000. 900.
Thousands.
I don't remember exactly. 970, something in that neighborhood.
Right. And I'm going to miss all that Bennett Middle traffic on College Avenue.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. You know, there was another piece of the puzzle was the new stoplight. I don't know if you've been through
Right, yes.
the new stoplight
Yeah.
down by Bennett Middle, but all of that had to be coordinated, you know, with State Highway and making sure that, because the buses certainly could not cross and stay in the middle. We
Right.
needed a stoplight there. So there's been lots and lots of pre-planning and all little things that you wouldn't think of that.
Well,
that
I
had to be
remember
done.
thinking, like, why there's another meeting about this stoplight? You know, why? How hard is it to put up a
To put a
stoplight?
stoplight. Well,
But
it's quite
really
expensive.
with the buses and the complication, and it's
Yeah.
really difficult.
Yeah, it's quite expensive, and also, you know, all the regulations that they have to go through to make sure
Right.
that, you know, people are aware. You don't want it just to plop up there, and you know, you don't want accidents, so they had to do it as a blinking light. You know, all of the things that they, and I couldn't even begin to say that I understand what they have to go through, but it's a major ordeal,
Right.
honestly.
A lot of school systems are bringing buses under their own umbrella and running the bus system rather than the private contractor system. And the private contractor system maybe isn't as efficient, but it's probably the right way to do things. And I know you're up against that. It's harder and harder to find these private contractors to drive buses. So talk about that just a little bit.
Okay. Our board is committed to keeping our private contractors in business. One of the things that we have found across the years is that our private contractors are beginning to age out, and there are not that many new
Right.
contractors coming on board. We have, in the past 2 or 3 years, had to purchase about 17 buses. Now, when we have a fleet that's so large, 17 is a very small number. But what our philosophy is as an organization is for the Board of Ed to, when we purchase a bus, to do the minimum routes, because they're not very lucrative for our contractors.
Right.
And so by us doing the majority of the minimum routes, that opens up the longer routes and the more lucrative routes to our contractors. So it's not, honestly, that we're trying to get into the bus business, but we have in some instances been forced to, because people, as their bus stops at 15 years is the
Right.
amount of time. And so after 15 years, many people who are not willing to invest the money, get the loan, and purchase a school bus, which is in the neighborhood of $100,000.
Right.
You know, so what it's the cost of a house for many people. So they're not willing to get that loan and move forward. So as some of these buses age out, they give their contracts up. We interview contractors, and there's also the whole piece of it, you know, where the bus is housed needs to be somewhat close to the route that they're running. And
Right.
there's lots of parameters that go into that. So we have had to purchase some buses, and we are striving. The hybrid situation seems to be working very well.
Good.
You know, we do some of the routes. That also gives us buses to help the contractors if their bus breaks down. So it seems to be a win-win situation for all. But we are committed to the private contractor
Gotcha.
because it helps the economy.
Right, and that's the whole idea. I mean, whether it's more efficient or not, but it's
Absolutely.
like it's one of those things. It's the right thing to do
It
to
is.
try to keep the public involved in what goes on. That way, you guys can focus on teaching
Yes.
instead of running buses. But
Running
I understand all the theories on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're transporting, you know, 12 to 13,000 kids a day,
Right.
that's a major ordeal. And so there's lots of organization again that goes into that.
Right. Now, as a newspaper editor, one of the frustrations with the bus system now is every year on the first day of school, we could always write that really funny story with some kid who got left on a bus and ended up in the wrong place. That was like a staple every year we wrote that. But it never happens anymore.
No, and we're glad that it doesn't happen anymore. But you know, we do have some
cuts
things.
down on the amusement value in my newspaper. So
Well, for the safety
I
of
need
our
a kid
kids.
tortured on a bus somewhere. A kid, from Pittsville taking the bus to Mardella. I need that.
That's right. That's right. Well, we have been able to eliminate that, thankfully, and you don't get to write about it anymore. But you know, a really unique piece of equipment in our new buses as we get them, our bus drivers are required when they stop a route and they pull into their bus yard to get up from their driver's seat, to walk to the end of the bus,
Right.
check every single seat to make sure no child is left on, and come
Right.
back out.
No child left behind.
No child left behind. That's right. In all facets, right? But anyway, now there is a button at the end of the bus. So when they go to the back, there's a button that they push that actually documents
Proves that they went back
that
there.
that they did do that, because sometimes there's these little kindergartners in first grade. It's a
Absolutely.
long day for these little guys, and they might fall asleep, and that typically, when it's ever happened in the past, is somebody falls asleep and they don't realize, or they lay down on the floor, nobody realized it, and so we're thankful that that doesn't happen anymore, but we have been able to put things in place to ensure that.
Right.
We'll find something else funny for you to write about.
No, it's fine. I just imagine these tormented kids.
And we do have very conscientious bus drivers. They understand what their jobs are. Occasionally things happen, but they try to build relationships with our students and ensure. They're the very first person of the school system that these students see in the morning. And so our goal is that our bus drivers are very welcoming, to our students. And if they have a good bus ride into school, then chances are that the rest of their day is going to be very positive.
I think you've hit on something. I think my bus drivers affected my outlook on school every day.
And life.
Oh my! Can you tell I'm having like an experience here when I'm thinking about this? I had some mean bus drivers.
But they are the first person that many of these students.
That's true.
Do. So it's an important job.
Some controversy. You guys have moved your central office to a new office building out Northgate Park. Talk about that. What necessitated that move? Because I think people don't really understand it.
Okay. Again, way before my time, those portables were purchased, I believe, from Purdue and put in, and they were many decades old. Over time, our facilities department really did strive to continue to maintain those buildings, but at some point, a portable building just is no longer a feasible option because of leaks and the things that happen. They actually had just expired, basically.
Right.
Our main building was in pretty good shape, but it is not very big. So for many years, probably a decade, we've been looking for some space for our central office. Another piece is productivity. If we have all the people in a variety of buildings, it really, I believe, affects staff morale.
Right, you also had an annex. You had people in another annex somewhere else.
We did, and we still do actually have our transportation and food service out on Jersey Road.
Right.
But anyway, we have been looking for a long time and this happened to just fell in our lap. It was the Northgate Noland Group was in that. It was some kind of a resort reservation kind of a thing, and it was a call center basically. And so it was a funny story. I happened to get a phone call one day, and they said, "Well, we have some furniture to donate. Are you interested?" And of course, usually when that happens, it's not great furniture, and it's something somebody doesn't want or wants to get rid of. So I said, okay, well, and so I asked Mr. Foray to go out and look at it. Well, he came back and we were just absolutely blown away. It was such a generous offer.
Right.
Basically all of the steel case furniture and all of the desks, all of the chairs, a big generator outside. It was just absolutely so generous and unbelievable. And so we continued to talk about that, and then we thought, well, where are we going to put this furniture until we can get it all in place? As it turned out, Noland was moving out and reorganizing where their people were working from home.
Right.
And so the building was available at just a phenomenal price as well. And so considering the money that we were having to spend on maintenance and repair and that sort of thing at our central office, it honestly became a no-brainer that we needed to take advantage of that opportunity. So in a very short time, what probably would have taken 6 months, we were able to, and again, kudos to our facilities department for helping us with that. And so we were able to reorganize and redesign. And with any move, their change is very difficult.
Right.
Some people embrace change, and some people it's just not an easy thing. And so we had both sides of the camp. There were people who just, especially the people out in those annexes, were so looking forward to a new space. And then others were, there's nothing wrong with my space. I like where I am. So, but now that we have all moved, it absolutely has been a wonderful opportunity. We have everybody together. Even just from my office, I see my productivity has greatly increased because instead of having to walk all the way across the parking lot in the snow and the rain and kind of put it off and that sort of thing, you can walk 30 feet down the hall and have collaborative meetings and impromptu meetings.
Right.
It has been an absolutely wonderful opportunity for all of our central office staff.
No, I've been a recipient of hundreds of letters to the editor over the years about the bloated administrators system at the school board and just too many middle managers and all this other stuff. But there's a reason for those administrators, and most of it's mandated by the state and federal stuff. It's not bloated by any means.
No.
14,500 students. There's a lot of students that need to be tended to, and that led to the growth, which made the Long Avenue site just too small.
Began to be too small. And unsafe, honestly.
Yeah, and even when I covered school board, just in that room, that little room,
Yeah.
you would think that a school system like ours would have a better room to have a public school board meeting
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. You know, if you look at the MSDE puts out many comparison charts. You know, how do we compare in number of teachers and class size and administrators and administrative staff? And to be perfectly honest, we are not bloated in the least. In fact,
Right.
we are one of the lower ones.
Right.
And if you looked at a business in the private sector who might have 14,500 employees, because our students really are our extended staff, plus all of our regular staff, our teachers, we don't have nearly the staff that you would if you look at other sectors.
Right.
And honestly, my philosophy is accountability is key. You know, we are charged with giving a very great education to our students and helping them succeed. And if we don't have the staff in place to work collaboratively with our teachers and our classified staff, then shame on us. We haven't done our job. So
Right.
collaboration and accountability and communication are big pieces for me.
Right. So the school board meetings will still take place at Long Avenue for a little bit longer.
Yes, for a little bit longer. We haven't, now there is a beautiful break room and it's very large, but we have not been able to figure out how we're going to put all of our, our board. It's big enough, it's just we need to build a wall because there has to be a place where they can have closed session meetings as well. So we haven't figured all that out. So all of our meetings at this point, our work sessions and our board meetings are still at Long Avenue.
Right. Now, your boss just recently, Dr. Fredrickson, John
Yes.
Fredrickson, announced his retirement.
He did.
So now we enter into this year-long phase of looking for a replacement.
Yes.
Now, is that invigorating for you, or do you dread that?
Well, again, I'm one of those that thrives on change. I mean, I feel like he's had the opportunity 8 years to be
Yeah.
with us, and he's chosen to move on. I think it's exciting to find someone who comes in with passion for for our district and for our students and our families and our staff. So I look forward to it. I think it'll be, but actually, we do not do the actual search.
Right.
The MABE, Maryland Association of Boards
Right.
of Education, actually does that search for the superintendent, and then our board makes that choice.
Makes the appointment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you are completely locally educated,
Yes, I am a product of Wicomico County, born,
Which-
raised, and I'm still here.
which you say it with pride. I don't
Yes,
always
I
say it
do.
with as much pride. But and you've always worked here. And as an employee in the system, you've seen local superintendents get hired. You've seen people from out of town. What's your thought about that? I mean, should the locals get some sort of preference to be the superintendent, or is it good to have outside blood come in?
Well, I think it depends on the person, to be perfectly honest. There are many advantages of having a hometown person because you know the community. You know that person knows all the players. And,
Right.
and probably, actually in my case, I grew up with most of the people,
Right.
that are, because I'm in that age group as well. So, but then there are opportunities when there's people from afar who come in and who quickly acclimate themselves to the community and understand what our challenges are. So I think it just depends on the person and their passion for what they're doing,
Right.
and their ability to, again, communicate and transform and hold people accountable.
And there's a get it aspect to it as
There
well.
is. Mhm,
I mean,
there is.
I've seen some superintendents who just didn't get it.
Didn't get it, yeah.
Or
It's a key
superintendents
position.
who you have superintendents who are totally focused on the instruction in kids, and then some who are focused on the employees, and it just seems like they have different methods, and I don't know that the methods always apply to what the need of the time is. If that does that make any sense at all?
It makes
Okay.
it makes absolute sense, and I think too. You have to be a superintendent, and to me, leadership starts at the very top. Whatever the philosophy and the attitude and the demeanor and the positiveness of the person at the top, it permeates through the organization.
Right.
And I just think that you have to have a good perspective on not only instruction, but on the administrative services. I think you have to know the community and be willing to step out there and work side by side with the people in the community.
Right.
You know, you're not always, it's not always going to be one way or the other. You have to be able to compromise, to also planning. Look at the, you know, we were talking about the facilities and how long from the first inception of talking
Right.
about a building until it's actually built and populated. You have to be able to be a visionary thinker and to pull your people together so that they understand and agree with what that vision is, and you go forth united.
Right. Like, I have no hope that West Salisbury will ever be built.
It is going to. Absolutely, it will. And actually, we had our school building commission meeting yesterday, and we talked about, you know, choosing our architects, and so it's coming. We do know. I mean, if you're interested, we do know and have agreed with the executive and the county council that it's going to be a replacement school
Right.
on the same site,
Right.
a pre-K to 2 school. For about between 300 and 350 kids. So
Right.
we are excited about that. But
So-
again, you know, just what we were talking about, that whole concept, and it has been a long time coming. I agree with you, Greg.
Right.
But from this point on, we choose our people who are going to do all of the work, and it's going to be 4 years out before you know
Right.
that school is complete.
And they threw a
at
cost
least.
cut at you. They threw a 15%.
They did. They asked
Yeah.
if we would. It was a challenge, and certainly a reasonable challenge. We're going to do our very best to meet that. At the same time, we need to build a school that is efficient and will work perfectly for our students and staff there. So, you know, there's always an opportunity to excel.
I'm a parent. I'm a participant in the school system. What can I do to help you and all of you people there at the administration? What can I do as a parent to help the school system?
Well, I think one of the things that I have noticed sometimes about our community is without knowing all of the facts and without knowing all of the details and what goes into a decision, there's a quickness sometimes to criticize.
Guilty.
And I guess my request would be that give us a call. We have so many people who are more than willing to go to organizations, to go to meet with people and inform them and educate them about, you know, what are the federal mandates that we're and often unfunded federal
Right.
mandates. You know, what are the things we're required to do? What are the things that are roadblocks and challenges for us, and how can the community help? You know, there's other pieces of it, you know, becoming a mentor to one of our students. We had a meeting the other day at the chamber, and a great idea came up. We have faith-based partners for each of our schools,
Right.
but also what about a business partner, you know, who comes in and they partner
a great idea.
with that school and look at what the unique needs of that school are. So there's tons of opportunities, and I think, again, communication is a really key piece. But we are always willing to, we have nothing to hide. We'll give you the straight skinny on whatever it is, and however you can help us, we certainly do welcome that.
How can people contact you?
All of our contact information is on our webpage. All of the phone numbers. I mean, feel free to contact me directly, and I'll point people in the right direction and help move forward. So we are always happy to meet with people. But again, going to our webpage really gives you a plethora of information. You know, what's going on in each of our schools, and you know, actually on our webpage we have each of the schools. There's a you can click and go out to
Right.
the individual school webpage.
Right.
There's also a transparency portal. We modeled that actually, kudos to our county. They started a transparency portal, and
Right.
we thought it was a great idea, and Mr. Ford and his team in finance, we now have a transparency portal, so all of our finances are completely transparent and
Yeah,
open
and you
to
talk
the
about
public.
facilities, all the planning and the studies are all on there, and you can read them,
Yes.
you know, 200-300 page reports.
Mm-hmm.
Very enlightening, and you can see that every aspect is considered. It really is.
Well, we try our best.
Yeah. Dr. Cathy Townsend, thank you so much.
Thank you. I've enjoyed being here.
I hope you have a great school year.
Thank you. We look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Our guest was Dr. Cathy Townsend today from the Wycomico County Board of Education. Going to have a great school year here, 2015 and 16. I can't believe it's that already. But anyway, thank you again. Greg Bassett from Salisbury Independent Newspaper with another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.